Okay, everybody, so this is my spoiler review of Shining Girls, the new Apple TV Plus series. This is for the first 3 episodes, so make sure you've watched all 3 before you watch this review. And please, anyone who's read the book, as always, do not spoil it for people here. Leave that elsewhere. Only talk about things we've already seen from the book. So, I'm a huge Handmaid's Tale fan. I was excited to see that Elisabeth Moss was starring, but also there's people like Dana Reed, shout out Dana Reed, who's a director and executive producer on the show, who directed the 3rd episode, but she's also followed me on Instagram. Seems like she watched the channel, so that's pretty cool. But it was exciting to see that kind of team up happen again. Elisabeth Moss is also executive producing. Even Leonardo DiCaprio is producing on this thing. There's a lot of producers on this, and I was really excited that it was like a mystery thriller. So it's interesting. I have a lot of thoughts here. So I love this cast. I think this cast is amazing. And I actually haven't watched Narcos, so I'm not familiar with Wagner Moura, but he blew me away here as the character of Dan. I also love Jamie Bell here playing Harper. He is terrifying, almost so uncomfortably terrifying when he's on the screen. And Elisabeth Moss, per usual, just crushes it here as Kirby, aka Sharon Leeds. And it was cool to see Philippa Soh here from Hamilton fame. So what things worked for me is the acting the most, right? I think the performances here are all great, and it's a very strong core cast here. Now, I also like the mystery to it. I like that they're learning more each episode, and we're, teamed up here with Dan and Kirby. And it's interesting, even though it takes place in the 90s, it feels a lot inspired by the Zodiac film by David Fincher, the look of it, the pace of it. Now, there's parts, though, where I scratch my head a bit, where it also feels out of tone, where it almost feels too much like a CBS procedural. And I mean that with the intro title sequence. The music in particular here was, to me, really bad, and it made it feel more like something, again, you'd watch with your mom at like 8 o'clock on CBS, which was kind of frustrating, and I wanted it to take itself more seriously in that department, where that felt out of tone to the rest of the show, where, again, if you would put it on CBS, some scenes do feel like that, especially when Kirby and Dan are looking through all the cases and the music playing. That feels out of tone with some of the great character work they're doing with the character of Kirby. Now, I thought the first episode was the best out of the 3. I think that it hooks you in really well, especially just the opening scene here with Harper meeting Kirby when she is a child, and he's showing her the bee and having its wings off and talking about how it rained and it didn't rain, and that they set that up well with Ginny, where she would experience those same things in the first episode. So the first episode felt really tight to me. The first 2 episodes were directed by Michelle MacLaren, who is a huge TV director who's done Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, Leftovers, so many big, amazing projects. So there is, again, good team behind this, but there's something about it that still just feels a little just plodding along and boring, and maybe feels a lot like something you've seen before. And that's what's bizarre too, is that you get into it, right? You see there's reality changing here with Kirby's character, and she's our main protagonist. We see a lot through her eyes, and you can't trust all of it because, again, she's forgetting things, she's hallucinating different things, and you're trying to figure out what's really happening. But some of it comes off goofy. In particular, I think in the 3rd episode, when her hair is just long now and it's revealed that she has long hair, it just came off silly. And maybe that's me being hard on it, but that's how I felt. I felt like some points just feel a little cheesy, and there are moments, though, that counteract that are really good, that I do think is great. And I think there's so much tension, especially the scenes with Harper, and even the moments in episode 3 with Harper and Dan's child. It was just very tense, and you're always wondering what Harper's going to do next. Now, you can see the story from the novels clearly inspired by Stephen King works, and that really shows with the character of Harper, because there is a supernatural element going on here. And I think there's something with time travel going on, where he's not aging and he sees the future. So you have that in play here too. But what makes me also kind of annoyed is that it does feel like, when you look at the story as a whole, that they're actually stretching it a bit, and that maybe even the story would work better as a film. Maybe a long film, but something that's like 2 hours and a half, where you kind of learn the cases going on, and that this villain is someone who has a supernatural effect to it, and then they're, investigating, and it goes on. Where this feels like it's doing a lot for 3 hours, right? But I feel like we could have trimmed a lot of it down, getting the same result and what we had to learn, where you're kind of just getting scenes put in to kind of reaffirm the point that was already made. So that also something I'm a little frustrated about. But again, I'm mostly enjoying it. I think it's for the performances that I enjoy the most and the relationship between Dan and Kirby. But it's not something that is like blowing me away. I'm not totally engaged here because we do know who the killer is. And it's kind of like, okay, just watching and learning about his supernatural effect. And again, I think it feels so familiar because it feels so much like Stephen King. And there's a lot of Stephen King stories like this. So we'll see. Maybe there's going to be more twists and turns that blow me away. Again, please don't spoil the book. But overall, if I ranking the episodes, I would literally say episode 1 was the best. Then episode 2 was pretty good. And then episode 3 I thought was solid, but not amazing. And I think that if I average out all my scores for those 3 episodes, I'm going to say these first 3 episodes, we'll rate it as a whole. I'm going to give it an 8.1. But that can definitely go up. And I'm excited to see where it goes. And I trust the team behind it. I trust the actors in it. And I'm really curious to hear what you guys think of the first 3 episodes. And again, please don't spoil anything from the books. Keep this fresh for everyone watching for the first time. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I read every comment and try to respond to as many as I can. Please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss one of my reviews of Shining Girls. I'll be reviewing every single episode. And please follow me at Steve Varley Show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok for more of me. And I'll see you next time.